everybody, welcome to Ellis Mowers. I appreciate y'all watching as always. We have a Tecumseh engine in the garage on a free Craftsman lawnmower. This is probably one of the most high-end Craftsman mowers that you could buy, probably at Sears back in the early 2000s. It's self-propelled, got the huge bag on it. Got it for free, got it home. It started on the first pull, just like fired right up. Tecumseh engine, I think it's got a primer bulb issue, because as soon as you squirt some gas into the carburetor, into the intake, it will fire and it will run for all of eternity. Sometimes I have trouble getting it started after it has set or on a cold start, but as soon as you get it warmed up, the thing fires right up. So also it's missing the self-propel belt, so we'll see if we even try to go through the adventure of putting a belt on this thing. It's not in horrible shape, but it is borderline if I want to fix the self-propel or not. I got a couple of belts, we'll try them out, but hopefully this will be a quick fix. We got to put a pull rope on it too. It's got an interesting pull rope setup, which I'll show you here in just a second. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, everyone, here it is. Let's do a quick walk around of it. Excuse me. Like I mentioned, it's one of probably the most high-end Craftsman lawnmowers you could have bought in the year that this was made, which we'll see if we can find the model number. I see it over there. We'll see. Guess the year. That's my favorite. I'm going to say this is probably a 2001 or 2002. I don't think it's any older, but it could be newer. The interesting pull rope setup, which I mentioned, was I guess the pull rope broke, and they were like, hey, we have a spring here. Let's tie a spring to it and use that as the pull rope handle. Pretty ingenious, I would say. It works. Just don't let it slip, because if that gets you, then you're going to be rough. Front wheel drive self-propel. If you look under it, I think this is broken, but I don't know if you can see under it, but there's no belt with it, so we'll investigate that. If I can't find a belt for it, I'm just going to take it off. You can see that the front wheels are a little cattywampus. Got the toe out look to it. So this thing's been run hard. Probably just needs some front wheels, or just need them tightened up or something like that. Huge bag. So if you made your guesses on the year, let's see. What did I say? Like 2002, 2001, something like that. So here's your number, 917. What is it? 378420. What did I say? Early 2000s. So what is it? 2004, or no, I'm sorry, 04, April 12th of 2001. That's how you read the AYP stickers. Month, day, year. So this is a 2001 with a Tecumseh, 6.75 horsepower. It's as big as they come. 195 cc displacement. I think the vectors were a little bit bigger than this, but this one's not a vector, thankfully. Got a little bit of oil seeping down out of the dipstick and a couple other places. Probably just, honestly, from it being run hard. This thing looks like it's been run through the ringer. Bag's in good shape. That's a plus. All the cables are in good shape. Self-propel cable, from what I understand, is pulling. I can see it moving down there in the bottom, so that's a good sign. I just need to find a bolt and a nut to replace these zip ties. Interesting setup. We've got some sort of rope here holding up the flap. I guess the flap's broken or something along those lines. There's probably the spring for it. May not be the spring for it, actually. It might be the spring for the self-propel. Air filter looks okay. Air filter is salvageable. It's got good gas in it because it'll run. Tell you what, let me get the tripod. Let me just get it out here and see if we can get it to fire up. Got other projects waiting in the wings. I just kind of want to take a couple hours to knock this one out because I need the space. So Let's give it a shot, see if it'll crank like this. So, like I said, it's hit or miss if it starts. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take the bowl nut out of the carburetor. I'm not even going to take it off. I have, I believe, a primer bulb. You can see this one is starting to dry rot and crack, and so whenever that happens, they sometimes will lose their, they'll sometimes leak air and you're not able to prime it. So I think replacing the primer bulb and just giving this thing a good cleaning is going to get us to where it will run reliably. Obviously, I have to wait until a cold start, so this one will definitely have to sit overnight before I'm able to see if it's good to go again before I sell it. I've had a couple of Tecumsehs come back after I fix them, just because they decide, hey, let's break. So that looks like that's rubbing a little bit. So I pulled that up a little bit so that it's not rubbing. There we go. That's better. Okay, good deal. So let me get the tools needed. I think I'll leave it on the ground. This thing's heavy. Take the bag off and make sure everything's good, and we'll continue on here. Alright, y'all. Well, my decision was made relatively easy. So they have taken the gears and all that mess off of this self-propel mechanism already, and so there's really no need to, I mean, there's no cover here. The pulley's all rusted up, and so with the amount of work and the amount of sourcing that it would take me to fix the self-propel on it, it wouldn't be worth it. So although I am getting at least one good wheel out of it here for self-propel duties, so I am going to find some new wheels for it. All I'm going to do is, like I said, I got a good self-propel cable out of it, so that's always a good thing whenever I get those items. So let me go ahead and source some wheels for this. All I'm going to do is probably cut the axle right here. I mean, it's just not worth fixing. So yeah, it's the way that it goes sometimes, guys. All the adjusters adjust like they should, I think, which is nice. So sharpen the blade, obviously. Replace the primer bulb. We're going to get rid of this self-propel in the front and pretty much call it a day with this one. Give it a nice cleaning. So let me source some wheels to put on the front of this so that I can keep these for if I get a self-propel mower that has everything else good on it, and except for the wheels, and that way I can swap them out if I ever need to do that. Alright, y'all, let's go ahead and get started here. We're going to replace the primer bulb. What I usually do is get a very small flathead screwdriver and just pull up. There's a little ring that has some tabs, locking tabs, for the primer bulb, and you have to pull that ring up and around, and that'll loosen up the primer bulb so that you can take it off. Okay, so that's off. Those primer bulbs are the culprit, because a lot of times these air primer bulbs, they won't work right and they'll cause issues. So we're just, for the heck of it, I don't think I've got to take the carb off of this one, but we're just gonna, I've got it tilted on its side so that it doesn't leak gas down, since the gas pickup is right. Yeah, this thing's in pretty good shape. Right at the side here, so we're just gonna pop the bowl off. We got a little bit of crud in there, but there's nothing that's alarming by any means. So let me grab some carb spray. We're just gonna spray it. Make sure all the ports are clear on this thing. Oh, come on, give me just a little bit more. Maybe not. Let me get a new can. Alright. Let's spray it up through there. Yeah, we're spraying good. Spray it up through the main jet. That looks good too. So, I mean, this carb's pretty clean, from what I can tell. Spray a little bit of junk out of this, but just get a rag and wipe it out. Maybe even wipe it out with my finger right there. So I'll put this back on. If y'all give me a second, I'll go source a primer bulb. I just forget which way this goes. I believe it goes like this. This thing's clean as a pin. So that leads me to believe that it had a primer bulb issue, which is pretty much a shoehorn for these newer Tecumsehs that have the air-fired primer on them. We'll just tighten this up. Thumb a wrench. Don't you love when you get rid of things? When you use things and then you get rid of them, misplace them. It's like you don't even go that far either. So I'm going to get the wrench. Let me go get a primer bulb, and I will show you what I usually do to put these primer bulbs in. Alright, so here's the old primer bulb. When you push it in, I don't know if you can see the dry rot cracks and stuff starting to form there. Here's the new primer bulb right here. We're going to press it in, push it in there. What I usually like to do is get a 3/4 inch socket and a hammer. I think it's 3/4, yeah. And I just give it a few gentle taps to get it set and get it seated. Give it a tug, make sure it doesn't come off, and you should have a seated primer bulb now. Lucky for me, I found my 1/2 inch wrench. It's embarrassing to tell you where I found it, but it was very close to, it was within arm's reach. It was on top of the wheel here. So, tighten that back up. Don't over tighten it. You can strip it. I have done it before. Throw away a little bit of trash. This really isn't going to tell us anything, but let's just make sure it still runs, right? Alright. I think we've got it flooded. Oh, I don't have the plug wire in, silly. I can hear a distinct difference though with that primer bulb. I don't have the air filter on it, that's why it's running a little bit like it is. You can see the air filter is okay, I just need to like beat it out a little bit. Beat it out, blow it out, it'll be good. So, I'll put the air filter back on. Next order of business, we'll go ahead and change out the pull rope. Alright y'all, we're going to take the pull rope off of this. I've already taken a 1/4 inch nut off. That takes that cover that was on here off, and I've taken the 1/4 inch, or is a bolt, and then took a 1/4 inch bolt off here. It's going to make my life a little bit easier if I do take these bolts off for the gas tank. Should just be able to bend this gas tank back. We'll have to take this dipstick off to do that. Oh, spoil spillage everywhere. Ooh. So now what we can do is take the impact and just we can access this 1/4 inch bolt a little bit easier this way, I hope. There we go. And voila, it comes off. Come on over to the bench with me. I've only got a bunch of junk everywhere, right? So let's work on this thing. Tecumsehs are a little bit more difficult than Briggs, but we're going to pull this all the way out. So that's that. We're going to, let's push it in a little bit more if we can. There we go. So let me take my cutters, cut this rope off, boom. Get my new rope here. Brand spanking new rope. 200 feet of awesomeness, right? So, we will, looks like that end's already burnt in, so let's see if we can just get it in like so. Tecumsehs are a little difficult because of the angle that you've got to go to get it into the recoil. It's a pretty steep angle. And this is what I meant with this being the harder one of the main brands and to get in. Bend this over a little bit, see if I can get a bend on it. Oh, there comes the pull ropes. Another alternative is taking it from the inside and pushing it out. But like I said, the end is burnt off, and I am having difficulty getting it to go through. So I'm going to cut it off, cut this end off, burn a new end onto it, and I'll see if I can get it through. But that's how you get it through. Have the screwdriver holding it. I like getting it through this side. That way you know how much string you need. You're not wasting string. Alright y'all, I just burnt the end and pointed it off, and it actually slid right through there, which is perfect. So now let me get some of the string strung out here so that when it recoils it's not going to mess anything up. So alright, here we go. Recoil, recoil, recoil. Okay, so we've gotten that settled. Yeah. We've gotten that settled. We're going to go ahead and put it on the mower, and we'll continue with the pull rope from there. All right, so we'll go ahead and I cut a little pigtail off of it. We'll go ahead and put this back on the mower in the orientation that it came off in, which is like that. Put these screws back in. Make sure that you don't strip them. And number 2 over here. Perfect. Okay. Okay. So now I've got the pull rope handle here. Just going to feed it up through there. I always double knot everything just to provide that extra insurance. Okay, so that's on and tight. I put the gas tank back on. This oil is nasty. Woo! Supposed to have 3 bolts in the back here. This one's only got 2. Who's counting? It ain't gonna hurt anything. Five sixteenths. 1, 2. And then we'll put the cover on. Which is 1/4. We'll get it started here. Wherever it sits, right there. That should get us started. Perfect. I'll finish it up. Again, very light on the impact. If you don't do this very often, I don't recommend you do the impact. Just use like a 1/4 inch ratchet. It's very easy to get it too tight. I'm gonna tighten this up while I'm here. Tighten those up while I'm here because they were a little loose. So that's back on. Put the air filter on. I don't think I originally put the carb bowl back on in the correct way because I think it tried to leak out of the needle and seat a little bit. This air filter is actually pretty tricky to get on if you're not careful. Okay, that's probably it. Let me get it off this jack stand. See if it'll start for us again. Hey, how's it going? Alright, y'all, so of course the needle and seat decided it wanted to give up the ghost, as it always seems to do whenever I first get one of these mowers. You can see it leaking out right now. I got most of the gas out, so I'm just going to let it suffer. Yeah, I got most of it out. I'll just let it suffer until it runs out completely. I'll take the air filter off. It's just kind of sucks because I could have easily gotten this out, in and out in like no time. So that's kind of unfortunate. Be waiting a couple of days on a carburetor. I need to order a couple anyways for a couple of other mowers, so that's not a huge loss. But again, I have no money in the mower, so except for an oil change. So we'll put a carburetor on it and we'll revisit this one as well. Alright, carbs are in. We're going to take care of this carburetor. We're just going to swap it all right here in one big old take. I got this thing, I've already got the cash in hand once I get this thing fixed. So that's why I'm trying to just crank it out now. The neighbor came over and was like, you got a push mower? We're going to have somebody come cut an area of our yard that we can't really get with the rider. They just had a bunch of trees and whatnot taken out, so they're going to hire somebody because they're, like I said, the man's 95, so he's not really able to do a bunch of physical activity anymore. Still drives and everything, at least as the filming of this video. But that was 2 1/4 inch kind of screws I just took out with a socket. And They have this gasket on it. You can take the gasket off too, but we should. I actually don't know if it comes with a gasket. That new carburetor. So the next order of business is we're going to actually going to take the whole intake off. I'm going to get a couple of Phillips screws or Phillips screwdriver. Bit here, I think a number 3 works better, but we're going to try it with a number 2. What I like to do is just loosen the whole shebang here and take it off. Makes it a little bit easier, at least in my opinion, to get it off the mower like this. It is a tight fit up under the muffler there, but as long as you can work it under there, then you're good. All right, we just got it, I think. Very good. Gas tank's already empty. Let me grab those tools. Oh. All right. We're just going to disconnect the fuel line. Get it out here so that we can do it a little bit easier. If I have to put a new fuel line on it, so be it. It's only like 8 inches worth of line, so yeah, we'll have to put a new one on it. That's okay. So I could just get the cutters and cut it. That would make my life easier now, wouldn't it? Oh well. Alright, breather tube and all this whole carb assembly and stuff is going to come off, linkages, etc. So, breather tube, that carb's probably never been taken off the entire time the mower's been in existence. We'll probably have to take this little throttle linkage off here, or this throttle plate. I'll keep the linkage on there. We will have to take this off. So remember, the end that's not a 180-degree bend like that is the one that goes in the carburetor in that hole right there. So that's that. Now what I'll do is I'll take the carb off of the intake tube. So 3/8 and a 7/16, I think. Apologize for the sniffles. This pollen is really killing me here. I have not been able to shake it. I don't like to take allergy medicine because it makes me really tired. I usually go into my full-time job early, and it just does not work. Let's see what we can do here. There we go. So pretty much just take that off. The new one should have gaskets and everything with it, so sorry guys. I've got serious sniffles here. Alright. Alright, that's that one side. Side number 2. Got to get a wrench for that. Well, can I fit an extension? Yeah, I can actually. Only thing is, you just don't really have good leverage on that side right there. We've lost some of the intake gasket as well when we do that. So remember, this piece right here comes off with it. So we'll just lay that aside along with the other screw and the other nut there. Now we start the assembly process. So that's part of the intake gasket. It's just broken and brittle. So it's just probably won't have an intake leak, but Who knows? New carb. Let me get it, unbox it. I'll show you what we got. All right, y'all. Let's put this new carb on. So we're gonna separate the intake. Good. So it came off cleanly. The gasket. I always am plagued with these issues for some reason. It's like, hey, let's clean the carb, and then it's like, hey, let's leak. And you're like, oh my gosh. So comes with the new gasket, and we'll put the gasket on. I'll go ahead and get the bolt. Remember, 3/8 went into the far end here. It goes like this, and we will put that on there. Alright, 3/8 goes in here, and then you'll have your 7/16 nut. We'll just get them set, that way that we are not fighting that too much. Number 1. And, oh Lord, number 2. I keep losing intake gasket as I speak. It'll be okay. Number 2. Tighten them up. Usually I like tighten them up before I get them on the mower. Actually, I just forgot. I forgot we got to put the that throttle linkage up in there. Alright, so throttle linkage like so. I'll give you a better look once I get it all on, because it's like trying to. It's a lot of fun to do this. Oh, this really ain't bad. Push mower work is easy. If you want to get some serious work, get into some riding mowers. Holy moly. Alright, back on. Pull that up. 7/16 and 3/8. We'll go nuts with this. Tighten. And tighten. I think I can get my wrench down there very well. Get the crescent portion of it right there. Intake gasket, who needs one of them? No, we're gonna put, let me get my linkages back. Remember the one that's not 180 degrees goes into the throttle hole right there on the inside. Like that. Okay. Now the delicate process is trying to get all these linkages hooked back up. So here's what's got to happen. I think this has got to, it sits like so. So you have to come in here, wiggle around the intake tube, get one in. I know y'all can't really see it very well. Get the other in. This is always the tricky part, because you have to take the whole carb assembly and just kind of, come on. There we go. Just pick it up. Put it in the area where the intake tube goes, right there. Okay, and now I'll get my bolts to put that back on. Screws, whatever. Best to get the bottom one in first. As long as you can get that bottom one in, you're usually alright. Turn it a few turns. We're not going to do it all the way because we're going to try and wiggle that top one in there. You gotta finagle it around the... There we go. Finagle it around the... Let's see. And you just kind of have to figure out where it needs to go. And once you get that locked in, you're in good shape. There we go. One take wonder here, right? I think I got it in the right hole for that throttle. Hope I did. I don't want to take that thing back off. Alright, so let me replace this fuel line. That's pretty easy. Come back and throw some gas in this thing. We'll start her up. And then we'll work on the self-propel. Alright, everything's back on. I put the new fuel line on. Let's see if it cranks up. To knock it down, I'm going to take this tab right here, bend it back just a tiny bit, about like right there, and let's see how that fares. I can fix this door right here too. I mean, it runs fine. I'm done with the running aspect of it. I can fix this door as well on this thing to where it'll come back, I guess, because it's not doing what it needs to now, that's for sure. All I'm going to do there is take a bolt off. I think it's a 7/16. Take that off and just slide the rod out a little bit, bend the spring back and fix that, because right now the chute's kind of free. And so let me take care of that, and then we'll move on to the self-propel. I'll get the air filter and stuff back on too. Alright, so that turned out pretty easily. I'll show you, or I'll tell you what I ended up doing. Get you off the tripod here. I just took this bolt out right here. It's a 1/2 inch. Pretty much took the spring out of this plastic thing and turned it one time, and then stuck it back in, and then just put the spring on and put the bolt back on, and that's all I needed to do. And we got a functioning mulching or bag guard, blade guard for the bag. I don't know what you want to call that. But now let's go ahead and start working on this self-propel. We got to get this thing off. First thing I want to do is find a handle, which I think I got one, because I would like to keep this self-propel drive if I could, because it is functioning, and I can always use one of these. So what I'm going to do is take the handle off and put just a generic handle on it. Keep this one that has the driving gauge on it. That'll help out a lot. If I get one that has good self-propel but a bad drive cable, which I do come across them quite a bit, more often than you think. So that's first, and then we'll get into the whole taking off the self-propel deal here. Alright, y'all, we're just going to take this transaxle out. I don't think I'm going to take the axle proper out because it's linked to the height adjusters on the front, so the little bar will be there, but I am going to take the transmission out just to save a couple of pounds and make this a little bit easier for whoever's going to push it. So I need to get some 3/8 we're just going to take it off. Four bolts, 3, number 4, transaxle drop, transmission drops. Got all this good stuff here we'll take out. Let's see. So the transmission has come out. We're not going to save this or anything. We're just going to let it go. So what we're going to also do, I can't remember exactly what I did last time I did one of these. If I actually cut it off and it was okay, or what. If I need to, I can put some different height adjusters on it too. It doesn't really matter to me. It's got all this washer set up and stuff too in here. Let me take the wheel off for it real quick, and I will see what I end up deciding to do. I might just cut the axle and just call it a day. Alright, so mostly a before picture of before I clean it, service it and all that good stuff. But what I did is I found a Murray handle under the house that had the cable was gone on the drive, because I don't want to take the cable off of the drive. This drive would actually still work in theory, but it took the old handle off and just put that in there. I tried to use the orange one, but so I got a good cable out of it because obviously I've disabled the self-propel. Pretty easy. I actually was just able to cut the bar about midway through, and I was able to just slide the bar through, and that actually ended up working fine. I just put the cover back on it just to keep things covered up. Again, saves about, I don't know, 4 or 5 pounds off of the mower, if that. But the way that I look at it, it could be the difference of somebody saying this is too heavy for me, etc., and versus somebody saying that it'll work. So to me, it's, you know, it's worth it. Again, the mower's sold. The neighbor's gonna buy it, but the neighbor's already bought it. I just gotta fix it, finish cleaning it up here. So oil change, blade sharpen, clean. Give you all a final look and test of this thing. All right, here it is, all finished and clean. Like I said, just gave it a good bath with the hose and turned out pretty decent, I would say. Like I said, this thing endured some hard labor whenever it was with the previous owner, which I think is where most of this oil has come from. I don't know if it's from the dipstick seal or if it's just right down there, just puffing out a little bit, but I think we're pretty good. So I'll get this thing over to the neighbor. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Thank y'all for watching, and let me know what you think. Would you have done anything differently trying to save the cell propel, or even cleaning out the needle and seat of the carburetor? Just let me know. But this one's gone. On to the next one. Catch you on the next one.